It's Craig.
Craig.
But
All right, great. Welcome back. Episode 12. Same people as always. It's a short intro.
Hi. We're here
Oh.
still.
There we go. That's it. That's all we need. Everyone knows our names by now.
back again.
Hopefully no one's hopping in at episode 12, and we'll give you your names again in the next episode. Today we're going to talk about Spelljammer, right? New stuff. New stuff came out. We're going to cover that new stuff.
Hooray.
You guys ready to jam some spells?
Yeah, I was just doing some calculations real quick because I didn't think to do them until just now. But I'm ready.
What are you calculating? What's our percent chance of winning?
We can jump right in.
All right, yeah, sure. Yeah, sure.
Speed is what I was calculating.
Speed?
Yeah, because that's the first thing about how spelljamming works is when cruising through space, the spelljamming ship can travel 100 million miles in 24 hours. So I was like, that seems fast. How fast is that? So I looked up the distance from the sun to Pluto.
Yeah.
And if you were to travel from the sun to Pluto in a spelljamming ship, it would take you over a year.
Yeah.
Holy moly. When that's one of the one things I read in that book, and I was like, damn, that's hauling. Moving through space. And now it's like, okay, it's not.
Yeah, I was like, that's the first thing I thought when I read it. I was like, oh, okay, so you can go between star systems. And then I just did the calculation just to get out of our own star system. It would take you over a year.
I've been in the astral sea for a year.
Thankfully, you don't have to worry about that since time doesn't move when you're in the astral sea.
Sure.
You don't age.
Still a lot of downtime.
I think
do you not age in the astral sea?
No, you do not.
You don't age, and I don't think you need to eat. Is that right?
Yeah. Yep. You just live forever if you're in the astral sea.
But time still passes. Like you can still learn things. Like it's not like nothing.
Time passes for you.
Oh yeah, that's what I mean. You're gonna be a year down the road. You're like, oh, we finally made it out of the solar system.
At least you won't be a year older. Just a year wiser. I feel like
that 100 million miles at 24 hours is like
maybe
infinity, depending on the GM.
maybe the speed doesn't ever really matter because you're gonna be like, we want to go here, and it's gonna be like, yeah, it's gonna take you about this long.
Yeah,
and then you go.
It's just,
yeah.
GM's like, yeah, you go fast, but based on the numbers it gave, I was like, I wonder how fast that actually.
Do they ever say? I like. In the week I've had to read the book, I don't think it ever says how big the astral sea is in like miles.
Yeah, I don't think that it has a size. It's like amorphous, isn't it?
Space, it's like infinite, right?
Well, there's space in between the systems.
Yeah, there's wild space, and then there's astral sea in between the wild spaces.
Yeah, and wild spaces are like your universes or solar systems or whatever.
Yeah,
universes. Let's call them universes. They're universes that are connected.
So you can't even leave one within 10,000 years.
Yeah, whatever. Yeah. Time scale is different. Don't worry about it. Magic, wibbly wobbly.
Don't worry about it.
You can't be doing physics in D&D.
It's just funny that they decided to give a number, and then I looked at the number and did it, and was like, "Oh, that's not fast at all."
That's because someone in the office just pitched a number, dude, and they were like,
how fast do these think? Well, we got to make them fast, otherwise, how are you going to get to places? Well, okay, 100 million miles in a day. That sounds great. Write it down.
Write that down. Put that in the book.
Perfect.
Other than that, I would say I thought I would have more objections with how like the ship combat worked and everything. But we had talked about that a little bit right after it came out, and we had just like skimmed it, how the ship combat was going to work. But I think I'm totally fine with how ship combat works.
How does the ship combat work?
I'm hesitant. Should we talk about the other things before ship combat so that you
want to go in order
the mechanics? I feel like we should.
Okay, we can go in order.
Because some of the ship combat relies on these other mechanics, right?
Well, we got to do character races and stuff, right?
We can. I was mostly concerned about the mechanics of the ship combats, but we can go over races. That is fine.
Listen, man, we're covering Spelljammer. Let me get a little close again. We're covering Spelljammer, all of it. So we're going to
All of it?
cover.
I didn't know that. I thought we're doing the adventure.
No, we're not doing. Sorry.
Okay.
We're just doing this book.
Oh, okay. Just the backgrounds and races and spelljamming.
Yeah, the rule stuff, not the adventure. I haven't even opened Boo's Astral Menagerie yet.
Okay, well, if we're doing that, then we start with backgrounds, right?
Everyone want a little book ASMR before we start?
That sounds terrible.
Yeah, probably.
The last one was okay. The last one was okay, but everyone before that, you just got wind noise.
Let me try again.
Nope, wind noise.
Oh, dang. Let me get this map out of here. Off to the side.
That sounded like you tore something.
Okay.
Right,
that's good. I'll cut the other ones out. Or maybe I won't.
Ooh, you probably won't. I bet you won't.
Fine, I'm going to do it out of spite. I'm going to edit the fuck out of this podcast.
That's how we'll get Eric to edit the episodes. You won't.
I bet you won't.
Hey, I edited all those uhs and ums out of that one episode, so you get out of here.
Will you be doing that again?
No.
Okay, then.
It took forever. Forever. I had to listen to the whole thing, and I was like, "Why did I say it that way?" It's better just to do it. It's better just to let it go. All right.
So
I got
Astral Drifter.
Astral Drifter. Oh crap! You're talking character options, backgrounds.
Yeah, there's only 2 backgrounds. So
okay, yeah.
Knock them out quick.
Sorry, I think I skipped over this part actually. That's fine though. I've got the book.
This overlaps a little bit with 1D&D, the new announcement stuff.
Does it? Is there
a new system?
There's nothing
just because they're gonna have the I think one of them has a. No, they don't. Okay, just the character races. I don't remember. One of these things has.
I think the races kind of over. The races have feet.
But anyway, Astral Drifter, you get proficiencies in insight and religion, 2 languages, celestial or Gith recommended.
Ooh, yes.
It's pretty standard equipment. You get a thing called longevity, which you are 20d6 years older than you look because you spent so much time in the astral sea without aging.
That's pretty cool.
Touched on a little bit.
I like that. Yep.
And then the feature you gain. This is one of this. You gain magic initiate feat.
Okay,
You must choose cleric for the feat. So this is a little bit of what they're doing
for choosing that background. That's pretty.
So.
Yeah.
1D&D, this is what all backgrounds are going to be. They're all going to have a level 1 feat.
That's how it should be.
I wonder how many of these, once you allow players to, we'll get into 1D&D stuff maybe later or on a different episode, but once you can create your own backgrounds, how these just become templates for people's custom backgrounds, right?
Yeah, that's exactly what they're going to do with them.
Yeah.
But anyway, you get Magic Initiate at level 1 when you take the background.
Yeah.
So that's pretty cool. Pretty cool background.
Yeah, I like that a lot.
The other background is Wild Spacer. You get athletics and survival skill proficiencies, navigator's tools, and proficiency in space vehicles.
Space vehicles.
Vehicles in parentheses space. You get some fairly standard equipment. And close encounter, you had a harrowing encounter with one of Wild Space's many terrors. You escaped with your life, but the encounter left you with a scar or 2.
Yep, and then you got to roll on a chart.
Roll on a chart to see what kind of creature gotcha.
Yep,
and that's part of your backstory. And then the feature is you gain the tough feat from the player's handbook.
That's very good. Yeah.
In addition, you learned how to adapt to 0 gravity. Being weightless doesn't give you disadvantage on any of your melee attack rolls.
Ooh, that's probably going to be humongous.
Yep, this is going to be the one everyone takes. Everyone that isn't a caster.
Yeah, you get tough. Are you kidding me? That's one of the best freaking feats.
Yep, it's
an awesome feat. Yep.
For a fighter, barbarian, any of them. Plus,
it's really good for anyone who just might get hit at some point.
Yeah. Which I'm assuming if you're trying to fight someone in 0 gravity up close with a melee weapon,
that's only you.
You're probably in the range to get hit.
Okay,
on to
that's pretty much it on that.
That's
on
backgrounds.
Races. I really like some of the races.
I did read some of the races and they were pretty cool. I really like how I think all of them except for 1, maybe 2 of them, you can decide if you're medium or small. You can pick.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And I think
Astral
that's
Elves you
really
are
cool.
medium, but a lot
Yeah.
they're going to change a lot of the races to where you can decide if you're small or medium. Astral Elf, the first one, you are medium.
Yep.
You get to know one cantrip of the three: Dancing Lights, Light, or Sacred Flame.
Mm-hmm.
And as the case with a lot of the new the one D&D stuff, the Intelligence, Wisdom, or Charisma is your spellcasting ability for it, and you choose that when you select the race, which I think is cool. So not everything's Charisma based when you have a 0 Charisma.
Yeah, because you're not
Charisma's often a dump stat if you're not
a
using
sorcerer.
it specifically. Yeah. So I think that's cool that you get to choose that.
Yeah.
You get Dark Vision, 60 feet of Dark Vision. Fey Ancestry, just like any other elf.
Yep.
Proficiency in Perception, just like any other elf. Starlight Step. As a bonus action, you can magically teleport up to 30 feet to an unoccupied space you can see. You can use this a number of times equal to your proficiency bonus between long rests.
Yep.
So
It's
Oh
like
wow,
Misty
that's even
Step.
better
It's like
than
Phase
the
Step.
phase step for Eladrin's.
Oh yeah,
Eladrin's
there
only
you go.
get to do it once per long
Well,
rest.
again, once D&D, the one D&D thing comes out, a lot of this stuff is getting made to be just like this. You're
Yeah.
going to get it as a bonus action up to like proficiency.
Yeah.
And the other thing is Astral Trance, which is exactly like all other elves. You get 4 hours of downtime in a
Yep.
translate meditation instead of sleeping.
So they're a pretty. It's another elf.
Yep, it's an astral elf.
It's a fancy elf. It's an elf with black eyes and gold pupils.
Yep, based on the art there. Auto Gnome. Roll out.
I think that was my
Roll
favorite one
out!
in this. The Auto Gnomes.
The Auto Gnome. I think they look a little goofy, but they're like a mini
Yeah.
Warforged.
They're kind of weird. But they're fine. They're great.
But I suppose
you're small. You are a
this is-
construct. Important
I
distinction.
know. Yes.
You
Okay.
are not a humanoid. You are a construct, which means a lot of healing spells are not gonna heal you.
Are they gonna fix that? They'll fix
I
that.
don't know. I don't know if they're changing that or not. I mean, I don't know.
If they
Does it
make
say
a
in here, I
construct-
haven't read everything. Does it say in here about? Aha, that's what it is. If mending is cast on you,
Yeah.
you can spend a hit die and roll it.
Yeah.
Okay.
So you can get mended. Yeah, it's one of those things where like if they take away healing, they have to add something. Like you can get
But that
fixed.
seems rough. Having to use a hit die to roll, and I mean, if you're never taking short rests, I guess that's fine. But
Oh yeah, because you have to spin the hit die. Healing machine. Well, anyways, let's just work down this list and then we'll maybe talk about it if there's something interesting. So Autonome history, you can roll in this chart if you want a background from the book and you're not writing your own backstory. I feel like this kind of stuff is just like whatever.
it's to just tell people if they don't want to, if they're having trouble being inspired.
Yep. Construct, small size, walking speed of 30 feet, all normal stuff. Armor casing. This is one of the classes in here. There's 2 that can have a 20 AC at level 1 with a shield. If you're doing rolled stats, if you're doing an array stat, you cannot get to 20 at level 1. But with rolled stats, you could totally get to 20 AC at level 1.
Your
because
base
they have
armor is base AC is 13.
13 plus dex modifier. Yep.
Pretty
So
good.
if you can get a 20 on your dex and then you carry a shield, you're a tank. You're a tiny little tank. Built for success. Yeah. Built for success. You had a D4 to 1 attack roll, ability check, or saving throw you make, and you do so after seeing the D20 roll, but before the effects of the roll are resolved. Use this trait a number of times equal to your proficiency bonus, and regain all expended uses on a long rest. Healing machine. That's
like a little bless.
Yeah, little tiny bless. Healing machine, which is one that we were talking about. If the mending spell is cast on you, can roll a hit die. You can spend a hit die, roll it, regain a number of hit points equal to the roll.
Wait a
plus
minute.
your con. What?
I just read underneath that healing machine. In addition, your creator designed you to benefit from several spells that preserve life, but normally don't affect constructs. And then it's like all the healing spells.
All the healing spells, yeah.
Oh, okay. So never mind on that.
Everything we just said about that earlier, ignore that.
The mending thing then really does. That seems really strong.
That's a bonus.
Does it?
It's like
I mean, if
mending's a cantrip, so I mean, if you need heals, you can just mend yourself.
Yeah. Again, if you're having trouble finding time to short rest, then sure. But if you're short resting anyway, then it's just a flavor thing.
I've
right?
always thought
I'm just thinking like in combat you can back up, cast mending on yourself,
That's true, I
and
guess.
heal, and not have to worry about wasting a spell to get a heal.
That's true. That's true.
Something I've always thought, and I've thought this with the Warforged too, is that out of combat you should be able to have someone with like a tinker tool set to fix you, put you back together, like make you regain a certain amount of hit points outside of combat, but not on a long rest.
Yeah, there just needs to be a way to balance it. Like for healing people, you're either using a consumable or you're using a spell slot. Whereas if you're healing a construct, you're just hammering some dents out and there's nothing lost.
Well, unless like you could explain it away in a myriad of ways, right? Like whoever's fixing you might have to have a store of little gears and stuff that are needed to repair you. And every time you swap them out, you lose the value of those gears. But
Okay, so like you could have it be like essentially like a drastically reduced priced healing potion.
yeah,
Like while I'm out, I'm buying a healing potion for 50 gold that gives me 2d4 plus 2.
Yeah.
And I'm also going to grab some spare parts that
Yeah.
instead of 50 gold, I'm paying like 10 gold.
Yeah. For like,
but they only work on this construct and not on anyone else. That's okay. I can like that.
I thought that with like the Warforged too. Like Warforged should be able to be fixed if they're like mechanical beings. They should be able to like, oh, I dented my armor, I can fix that. Oh, the servo that controls my fingers went out, so I fixed that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think you're just gonna run into some balancing problems. Is the only thing why that
perhaps
set up like that. But it could be done depending on how complicated you wanted to make it.
Yeah. Mechanical nature, resistance to poison damage, immunity to disease, and have advantage on saving throws against being paralyzed or poisoned. You do not need to eat, drink, or breathe. That's kind of like, that's in the vein of Warforged as well.
Yeah, a lot of this is.
Yeah. Century rest, you can take a long rest, spend 6 hours inactive, motionless, but you're still conscious. So that's a Warforged thing.
Yep.
Specialized design, you gain 2 tool proficiencies of your choice. Selected from the player's handbook. All right, that's good. Done with those. Anything else to say about auto gnomes and their tininess?
It's just a small Warforged essentially.
No, it's not.
A few differences.
I would say the difference is that as part of the construction of the auto gnome, some of them aren't fully mechanical. Some of them have organs, and that's really weird and like
really gross.
You're like a little metal meat sack. Holding all them organs
They're all
dude.
slimy on the inside.
Yeah, dude.
You like people open you up and they're like, oh.
What's that?
Oh no!
Isn't there a movie like that? General Grievous is like that, right? From Star Wars.
Yeah.
That's
why he has that like smoker's cough.
Yeah, that's why he gets lung cancer when Obi-Wan uses the Force on his torso.
And then
okay. All right, moving right along. The GIF.
Or GIF.
Or GIF, depending on what you think it should be. Wizards put that in the book to fuck with everyone around the world.
Hooray.
It's GIF.
It doesn't matter.
GIF, doesn't matter. You know what? I think
it's not a hill I'm willing to die on. Call it what you want.
Me neither. All right, traits. Humanoid, medium, 30 feet of walking speed, and a swimming speed equal to your walking speed. If you're ever in need of swimming as a giant hippo man in space.
I'm pretty sure that swimming speed counts as like 0 G speed.
Oh, does it? Okay.
I think I saw that somewhere. I'd have to double check, but
yeah, like I haven't read this wall to wall, but Astral Spark, your psychic connection to the astral plane enables you to mystically access a spark of divine power, which you can channel through your weapons. When you hit a target with a simple or martial weapon, you can cause the target to take an extra force damage equal to your proficiency bonus. You can use trait and number time equal to the proficiency bonus, blah, 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 blah. Normal stuff. That's kind of neat.
Proficiency bonus, long rest.
Defensive bonus, long rest. Yep. Firearms mastery, which makes me wish this had come out before I made my character for the current campaign.
I want to be a hippo person.
I'd be a hippo person if I got this trait.
Hip-hop anonymous?
You have a mystical connection to firearms that traces back to the gods of the GIF. who delighted in such weapons. You have proficiency with all firearms and ignore the loading property of any firearm. In addition, attacking at long range with a firearm doesn't impose disadvantage on your attack roll.
Seems so broken.
That is incredibly good.
Too bad you're a hippo.
I don't care, dude.
I think they're dumb.
If I could shoot,
They are
if I could shoot
dumb
240 feet with my pistol without disadvantage,
you essentially get
the
pieces
gunner.
of 2 feats.
Yep.
Just for being a hippo.
Just built into being a hippo, dude. You trust in the heart of the gun gods. You know what I'm saying?
Yep, it's real good.
Yeah. Hippo build. This is the same thing as powerful build, basically. Advantage on strength-based ability checks and strength saving throws. In addition, you count as one size larger when determining your carrying capacity and the weight you can push, drag, or lift.
So it's better than
it's actually better.
build.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah,
it's actually better than
advantage
powerful
on
build.
strength stuff.
They were like, okay, we built a subclass called Gunslinger for a fighter. Let's make a race designed for that.
Let's make the most optimal race. This is an RPG bots breakdown. It's gonna say you playing Gunslinger. This is the one you got to play, baby. Every gunslinger should be a gift. This is the only one you should pick. It's S tier. You got anything else you want to say about that? If they're gonna allow like mixing and matching of these kind of things into other things, listen, firearms mastery is too good. If you're playing a class that, if they don't allow it, and you're optimizing, and you're playing a class that shoots a gun, this is pretty much your choice.
You're being a hippo.
You're being a hippo.
There's like if your DM is letting you like have a couple feats, then maybe you could find something better.
I think that you could work with your DM to fit firearm mastery into another race as a part of your backstory.
Because you're still going to want sharpshooter.
Do you?
Yeah, you do.
What else does it give you?
Plus 10 damage, man.
10 damage.
Oh, yeah. But
you're still going to want it. Like
I'm going to tell you something. There was a guy in our other campaign that had sharpshooter. Used it every time. Homeboy never hit anything.
Bad luck.
Homeboy never hit anything.
Bad luck. Look at Michael, dude. He's dishing out damage with his plus 10 damage.
Yeah.
Insane.
All right. We'll move on from the hippo people
to the monkey.
Why hippo people in space? Why monkey people in space? Whatever. It doesn't matter.
I don't know.
The monkey people in space are sweet.
The Hadazee. They've got skin flaps.
Hooray.
That's all they do. That's the thing.
We all.
Yep.
No, they have skin flaps that let them fly, not skin flaps that.
Do they fly or do they glide?
They glide.
They don't fly. Okay. But never having to worry about fall damage is pretty big.
It's pretty nice. Do you want to go down this one? I did the last two. You do this one.
Okay, you're humanoid. You're medium or small. Walking speed is 30, but you have a climbing speed that's equal to that, so that's pretty good.
That's pretty good.
Climbing a lot. Swimming speed feels better, but climbing speed is acceptable. Dexterous feet, F-E-E-T.
Yes.
F-E-A-T.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
As a bonus action, you can use your feet to manipulate an object, open or close a door or container or pick up or set down a tiny object. So you can just, it's like a monkey. You can reach up and grab stuff with your bonus action.
Open the door with your feet.
Glide. If you're not incapacitated or wearing heavy armor, you can extend your skin membranes and glide.
That sounds super gross.
I'm gonna extend my skin membrane.
I'm gonna extend my skin membrane here real quick.
It looks a lot better if you see the artwork than if you're just reading skin membranes.
I don't think it does. I'm gonna go out on a limb here and say it looks like they have a hairy ball sack hanging from their wrists.
Well, okay.
They look really
strange. But it's the same thing.
Means. They got essentially have like wings that sort of extend out.
Yeah. They're like a flying squirrel.
Yeah, you can perform the following aerial maneuvers. You can move up to 5 feet horizontally for every 1 foot you descend in the air at no movement cost to you. And when you would take damage from a fall, you can use your reaction to reduce the fall's damage to 0. You also get Hadazee Resilience. Is it Hadazee? Hadozee? What's the pronunciation? Anyone?
I don't know what the official pronunciation is. Hadazee sounds fine to me.
I'm gonna have to figure that out. The magic that runs in your veins heightens your natural defenses. When you take damage, You can use your reaction to roll a d6. Add your proficiency bonus to the number rolled, and reduce the damage you take by an amount equal to that total. Minimum of 0 damage.
Minimum of 0.
Okay, I guess if you're rolling, I don't know how you would get less than 0.
How
Or
often
less
can you
than
do that?
1.
Can you take less damage?
That is your proficiency bonus number of times between long rests.
Ooh, that's pretty good.
Yep,
That is pretty good.
Especially start like low levels, it'd be really strong.
yeah, it's on at low levels. It's on par with the Goliath. Thing, Stone's Endurance.
Stone's Endurance.
But at higher levels, I think that this outvalues it because it becomes you can use it more than.
But once the Goliaths get updated, it'll be about the same thing.
It probably, yeah. That is true.
I don't have anything else to say about these. They're weird, and they're not weird in a way that I like, but that's a personal opinion.
Plasmoids.
These I think are hilarious. I think the plasmoids
Creature type. You are an ooze.
Yeah.
I can just become a ball.
And I love that the artwork, he's riding a giant hamster, or maybe a normal size hamster. We don't know because they can go small.
Speed is 30 or medium or small. You get amorphous, which means you can squeeze through a space as narrow as 1 inch wide, provided you are wearing and carrying nothing.
Yeah.
You have advantage on ability checks you make to initiate or escape a grapple, which is, when you think about that, it's a little yucky. Wait, why do you have it? Oh, it's because you're oozy.
You can just
someone tries to grab you, and they just...
It's like grabbing onto a giant puddle of wet, silly putty.
Yep. You get 6 feet of dark vision. You can hold your breath for an hour.
That's pretty good.
Natural resilience. You have resistance to acid and poison damage, and you have advantage on saving throws against being poisoned. Shape self. As an action, you can reshape your body to give yourself a head, 1 or 2 arms, 1 or 2 legs, and makeshift hands and feet. Or you can revert to a limbless blob. While you have a human-like shape, you can wear clothing and armor made for a humanoid of your size. As a bonus action, you can extrude a pseudopod that is up to 6 inches wide and 10 feet long, or reabsorb it into your body. As part of the same bonus action, you can use this pseudopod to manipulate an object, open or close a door or container, or pick up or set down a tiny object. The pseudopod contains no sensory organs and can't attack, activate magic items, or lift more than 10 pounds. That's a very specific thing. It doesn't feel that strong.
You're shooting off like a little worm to do stuff for you. It's like wormy mage hand.
Yeah, it's super weird.
That's what it is. It's like
6
mage hand.
Wide, 10 feet long. And you can shoot it off and it can open a door for you. Like 10, how far could it? It doesn't even say it has a movement speed. So I don't think it's not disconnecting from you. It's just an appendage.
Yeah, it says extrude, so I think it's an appendage, like a third appendage that comes out of your back.
At which point, it's even weirder that it's so specifically like no sensory, or like you can't feel anything. Apparently, can't.
Maybe wait, no. It says you can reabsorb it into your body. It has to be like a little snake.
Well, it doesn't have any rules for its movement, though.
Listen, man.
Like, you shoot it over there, and it's like, well, if I hope I got you close enough to where you needed to be, because
it's like you're blowing a snot on the door handle from across the room.
All you can do is open a door, pick up a container.
There's one thing.
If you pick this race, and you're not picking a barbarian, you're just missing out. You don't have to wear clothes, and you still have your same defense.
Hit this blob.
So you're just a blob that floats around with an axe in it, and that pops out and hits stuff and comes back in.
The only thing I would add to this is I thought it's a blob that can take the shape of a human, right? Why couldn't you have 4 legs and be like dog shaped?
Because that would create balance issues for your friendly DMs.
Would it?
That's the only reason.
It doesn't make it. It's not gonna make you run any faster or anything.
I mean, no, but like who knows what? Like, everything is balanced around humanoid stuff. Like the occasional centaur even can mess up.
Centaurs are a playable race, though.
I know. I think that's why they were like, well, we don't need any more of those.
No. I don't think that's the problem. I think they didn't think about it because they got around the centaurs climbing ladders problem They just don't address it at all. A centaur can climb a ladder. How? Who knows? Don't care.
Just buff upper body strength.
he just pulls his horse body all the way up the ladder.
Screaming while they're going up this ladder. Just like,
So, like,
my muscles are ripping.
If they can get over that, they could get over the fact that this thing could turn into a dog or whatever, right? Or a snake, or like a big, long, tubular.
Yeah, it's certainly very weird, the restrictions put on something that in anyone's imagination would be like a lot more.
It seems like
options.
It seems like a race that should be more creative than it is in this book.
Yeah, that's why I'm talking. Like the shape self thing is oddly specific about what you cannot do with it.
Yeah,
it seems weird.
You're a blob, for Christ's sakes. You could turn into like anything. If you can shoot arms and legs out, you could ostensibly just make more legs, or you could be a being made entirely of arms. It doesn't matter. You're nothing. You could be like a little cartwheel with just arms, and you spin and you roll along.
You could be a Beyblade.
You could be a Beyblade. Yeah, you turn into a top, and you like hold your axe and your jello, and you spin to attack people, dude.
You don't even need that whole axe. You just need the head of it.
This is like
sticks out a little bit.
This is one that I read and I thought, ooh, very cool. And then like now we're reading it, and I'm like, it could be way better. I think that the homebrew for this will be way better than the official material, because there is no reason why you couldn't do all these other things. And there's not a good argument that I've heard for why. Like,
yeah, it's just like it's more work for your DM, I think, is the thing. It's like if your DM's making encounters and you're just like, oh, I slip under the door. Okay, all the doors now are vacuum sealed. They're airtight. You can't do that anymore. But now you're in jail. Oh,
no, that's not
bars. I slipped through the bars.
I
shoot my pseudopod through the bars.
But you don't have any of your equipment, right? So like there's limitations.
If you only take a blade's pretty skinny.
It's not fitting through 1 inch.
Like a sword blade?
Yeah, the blade might, but the handle's not.
You don't need a handle. You just need the blade. You can just stick it out a little bit and put stuff. Then you get through everything with your weapon.
I don't think that
Eric, come on, man. You got to exploit.
Listen,
come on,
I know.
This is huge.
I thought about this on the way home. If I could move a dagger through there, but then I was like, wait, you can't get the handle, but maybe I could just have the blade. But then the DM could be like, oh, well, the blade cuts you when you try to like grip it. So am I gripping it by the tang? How does this work? How do I grip things? Can I grip things in my hand, or can I grip them inside my body? Like, what are the specifics? It's like both vague and too specific. And I don't think your concerns are necessarily valid as far as like making it hard for the DM to balance. Oh, all the doors are now sealed shut. You know what that is? That's anti-fun. If you're doing that, you're just a no fun fucking person. Because you know what else you could do?
If you're not doing it, then every encounter you have is just completely
that's not true.
By the fact
because
of plasmoid.
You know how you could find out what's behind that door? There are plenty of spells that do that.
Yeah, and those take spell slots.
Or I'm sure that there is some race that I'm not thinking of that gets it as a component of being that race.
I don't think there are any other amorphous races.
Not amorphous, but I mean like races that have spell abilities that let them do whatever. Like one of the wizard, the like augury kind of stuff. You know what I mean? Any of the, like all that
but
stuff.
Still,
kind
that's
of
like that is taking something that is not something you can do infinitely, right?
Find familiar. I find a snake. It crawls under the door. I can see through its eyes. You did this crap all that time when you had that closet, dude. It goes invisible and it goes in and sees everything, and then it tells me what happened. That's no different than this, and that's built in, and it doesn't require.
I picked a sprite.
There you go. Summon a sprite. A sprite's super tiny. A sprite can get into places. You can see through its eyes. Do the whole thing. Boom! It comes back.
And a sprite can go invisible.
There you go. That's not any different than this. I think those concerns are like.
I think it's a little different because a snake cannot do all the things a player character can.
Yeah, but realistically, if you slide your whole slimy body through a door, what person in the room is going to be like, what's that goo coming in through under the door right there? And then what? Do you stay flat or do you turn back into a ball? If you turn back into a blob or a ball, you're just a goo blob sitting in the corner watching everyone. Can you stick yourself to a wall so that it looks like a stain? What's the limitations? Like,
yeah, I don't know. I feel like this conversation right now that we're having is why they made these weird
That's
conditions.
but the conversation that we're having right now is what makes this interesting to me. Is what makes
I
this.
agree. I think that this race, I think they missed the mark with this. Like it's
Yes.
too. There are as an ooze that is amorphous. They gave it weird restrictions.
Yeah, weird restrictions. Come on, wizards. Come on. Let me have a little fun with my weird
Anyway.
blob guy. If you're a blob man, like you're already a weird player, right? Like this
I'm gonna play a plasmoid.
I'm gonna play a plasmoid guy that punches people. He's a plasmoid monk. There's a picture of a plasmoid monk in here. You just walk up and you slap him with your like jelly fists, dude.
Literally like a wet noodle.
Yeah. Or you're a melee fighter like Vonic in your campaign.
Yeah.
Only you're made of jello.
Anyway, the last race is
The
Thry-Kreen, which has been a monster for a lot longer. But now it is a playable race. You are a monstrosity. You are not a humanoid.
While you're talking about this, I'm gonna look something
up. Which between the construct, ooze, and monstrosity, there are quite a few spells that will not target you as a humanoid, such as hold person. If you are a monstrosity, that does not affect you. So that's interesting. You can be medium or small, 30-foot walking speed. Chameleon Carapace. While you aren't wearing armor, your Carapace gives you a base armor class of 13 plus your dex modifier. I don't know what that has to do with chameleons, but there you have it. Here's the chameleon bit. As an action, you can change the color of your carapace to match the color of the texture of your surroundings, giving you advantage on stealth checks made to hide in those surroundings. You have 60 feet of dark vision. Secondary arms. You have two slightly smaller secondary arms below your primary pair of arms. The secondary arms can manipulate an object, open or close a door or container, pick up or set down a tiny object, or wield a weapon that has the light property.
Yeah, so like little hand crossbows and stuff and daggers.
Yep.
They're like little T-Rex arms underneath your normal arms.
Yep. Sleepless. You do not require sleep, and you can remain conscious during a long rest, though you must still refrain from strenuous activity to gain the benefit of the rest. And the last thing, Thry-Kreen telepathy. Without the assistance of magic, you can speak the non-Thry-Kreen languages you know. Instead, you use telepathy to convey your thoughts. You have the magical ability to transmit your thoughts mentally to willing creatures you can see within 120 feet of yourself. A contacted creature doesn't need to share a language with you to understand your thoughts, but it must be able to understand at least one language. Your telepathic link to a creature is broken if you and the creature move more than 120 feet apart, if either of you is incapacitated, or if either of you mentally breaks the contact. No action required. That's kind of interesting because it seems like you're never going to be talking to a group of people. You're going to have to talk to individuals.
You can talk to more, right?
It says...
God dang cat, I can see it picking up in the recording!
Willing creatures you can see within I guess you could.
Yeah, you could do it a bunch. You could be like a Thry-Kreen bard that just plays the instrument and then sings the word into their heads.
That's pretty awesome. Right?
I know there are some creatures that may.
You could be a one-man band, dude. Your little arms are playing the drums, while your big arms are playing a lute, and then you just like send the music telepathically into everyone's brains.
But since it's just a language, they have to understand a language. So they're like, that doesn't rhyme. That doesn't rhyme at all in my language.
Listen, I'm just assuming that everyone speaks common.
Okay.
Everyone in the world speaks common, it seems like. Across the multiverse, common is the...
It's really handy if you think about it.
Yeah. It's really the most handy thing in all of D&D, that even if I travel across space, they're like, oh, hey, what's up, man?
You speaking common here, man?
Thry-Kreen was a playable race in the Granddaddy 3.5.
Oh, was it?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
A lot of that. Listen, everything that's coming out now is just like, remember that cool thing from 3.5? Let's do that again, but update it. So it's not dumb.
All right. That is the last of the races.
Yeah, this is the other... Wait, I have one more thing.
Okay.
This is the other race that can have a 20 AC at level 1.
Yes.
Yeah.
They're the other one that's 13 plus dex.
13 plus dex. Yep. I love that.
Because of that
All right.
carapace. That's the last race. We're
Spelljamming.
on to Spelljamming. We
Spell.
already talked a little bit about your top speed having to take you a year to get across our solar system.
Yeah, I don't think that'll really ever come up. I don't think that'll ever
Yeah,
matter.
that's gonna be just the DM's like, oh, you're there in 2 days or
Yeah.
however long. It's like gonna
Yeah,
be
yeah.
a set thing.
Nobody's gonna be like, not nobody. Somebody is gonna be like, actually, we couldn't have got there that fast. Exactly this far. It should have taken us. It's like, shut up. There's a lot of things in this I really like. Speed aside, we won't even talk about speed since we already. That's all there is to say about that. I really like the air envelope thing. I really like the gravity plane stuff.
Yeah, let's start from the top. The spell jamming itself, whoever is attuned to the spell jamming helm, which is a new item.
Yeah.
Whoever is attuned to that item is the one who controls the movement of the ship.
Yeah.
And it describes that once you're helming a ship in that fashion, it acts almost as an extended limb, and you sort of feel things like as you would like sensors or something in a sci-fi show.
Mm-hmm.
It through a pins and needles sensation, though not as
Yes.
painful as its analog. So yeah, that's kind of cool.
All I'm picturing is Pirates of the Caribbean, the one with Blackbeard, where he controls the ship with his sword.
Oh yeah.
It's like doing
Pull the
stuff
sword
and
out and
shooting
he's
fire off.
Yeah,
and
I know what you're
stuff.
talking about.
It's like, hell yeah, that's awesome.
You're sitting on a boat. You're in your special chair.
Yeah, this is an experienced spelljammer can often sense. Whenever you're going through space at your 100 million miles per day thing, your ship automatically comes out of warp in like
yeah.
to describe it easier. It automatically comes out of warp if you're going to run into something. And an experienced spelljammer can often sense what caused the ship to slow down a few minutes before it can be seen. An asteroid feels different from a space galleon or a pod of Kindori, for example. So that's kind of cool. Like, we don't have to be like, why did the ship slow down? Well, I mean, you might have to be depending on how experienced
Where the helm
DM
is.
says you are.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's kind of cool that you can. There are ways that you can be like, I've been doing this for a while. What made us slow down? You can also spelljammer duels. You can.
I love spelljamming duels. I think that this is great.
A ship can have more than one spelljamming helm aboard it.
Yes.
But only one spelljamming helm at a time can be used to control the ship. If a spelljammer tries to gain control of the ship by using a second spelljamming helm, a spelljammer duel ensues.
Yeah.
Resolve the conflict by having each spelljammer make a con check, not a con save, constitution check. If the dueling spelljammers tie, have them reroll, and the spelljammer with the lowest check result loses the duel and gains 1d4 levels of exhaustion. In addition, their attunement to the spelljamming helm ends at once, and they can't attune to any spelljamming helm until all levels of exhaustion are removed from them. That's weird. It's weird that something with those are fairly big consequences. And for something like that to be determined by a con check, that seems weird.
Maybe
contested con check.
I think maybe that part of it could be redone a little bit. Like, what kind of checks need to be done to? There's plenty of ways that it could be spiced up, right? It could be intelligence or con, or it could be a multitude of checks, or it could be like an actual like little mini game style duel that you do for control of the ship. But as far as the level of exhaustion and de-attuning, I think that is a super awesome, like, because if you don't do something like that, what happens is you win the duel and the person just stands up and sits right back down.
Yeah. Absolutely, I agree with what the consequences are.
Yeah.
I would like to have it be closer to like almost like an arm wrestling match. Like, you do a con check, that's 1 over. And if you win another one in a row, then you win.
Oh, it can go back and 2 out of 3.
Well, not even best 2 out of 3, but like if you win one and then you lose one, you're back to even. You have to win by 2, essentially.
That'd be cool. That'd be a cool like alternative ruling for it. Uh, yeah, that's fine with me because like, and I guess it's because I haven't played any Spelljammer yet. Like, is your Spelljammer going to be like the big tough guy?
It
Because you have to
seems
have
like
the
they're
guy with a
supposed to
ton of con.
be, yeah, like in the way that I have interpreted the lore, they're supposed to be like a wizard, like a
That's kind of what I read
spellcaster.
too. They're like a spellcaster who sits on the thing.
Yeah.
In which case, their con's probably not that high.
Yeah, which is
It should be
weird because
it
then
should be
just
an
some
intellect
barbarian
check.
comes over there and he's like, "Oh, get off!
Get off my chair!" It should
This
be
is my chair, boy.
it should be mental checks.
Yeah, I agree. Maybe that's the difference. I don't know.
Listen,
Maybe we're missing something.
I'm sure we'll have an episode later where we talk about in a little more detail things we'd like to change and how to change it. Right now,
Especially
though,
once we've tried it out a bit.
yeah. Right now, though, I'd say overall, I think this is a really cool feature. The only thing is like there is some like there's a part later on where it talks. Well, I guess we can just wait till we get there. But summoning a spell jamming chair. Could I
Mhm.
jump onto someone else's ship, get my guy to summon a spell jamming chair, and then sit down in it and try
Yeah,
to take over the ship?
I'm that's how I'm reading this, is that's how you
Yeah.
would do that. I don't know why you would have 2 spell jamming helms otherwise. That
To
doesn't make
screw
any
yourself
sense.
over. To screw yourself over. That's
I
it,
made a
right?
back door.
I made my own special back door. Or unless you have it like hidden away in like a special place where you're like, someone's taking over the ship, and you sit down and
Yeah,
you
I
like
guess.
or
Someone's taking over the ship. I'm gonna go make a con check against him. No, I'm a
it,
wizard.
it's like an emergency thing, right? You have a hidden room that has a spell jamming helm, and if your ship's getting taken over, you just send the guy back there and sit down, and he just drives the ship into a wall and blows everyone up.
Yeah, sure. But yeah,
That's
I
the
think that's a
difference.
cool idea. I will be interested to see how it plays out, especially in our current group where we don't have any wizards.
My con's pretty good
Uh,
because I'm a fighter,
well, I
so I
mean,
could do it.
we don't have anyone to cast Create Spelljamming Helm because that is an artificer and wizard spell only.
You're right. You're right.
So we'll see if that plays out at all.
I also, side note to all this, Artificer suddenly seems not so crap if you're doing a spelljamming campaign.
Yeah.
It seems actually like useful. This is the setting it was meant for, not regular D&D.
But yeah, it's very cool. Next up is air envelopes.
I think that
Unless
this
you
is
had something
a
to say.
no. I don't have anything else to say about spelljamming duels or the
Air
jamming
envelope?
chairs. Air envelopes, yeah. So like
So
you can explain it if you want.
okay, so any creature can have an air envelope if they are to. This is how I interpreted it. I need to read through it again, I guess. If they're to leave like a ship or a planet, they get an air envelope. Is that
The way I read it is like, yeah, if you jump off a ship and leave the ship's air envelope, you have your own little air envelope around your head that you breathe. The rest of your body doesn't have it.
yeah? But it's because and you just
And
get
it
it
doesn't
for
last
free
that
because
long.
there is a spell that you can create an air envelope, but I
Yes.
guess you don't need it if you come out of a ship.
No, well, the create air envelope spell gives you more time. When you
Right.
just jump off a ship, you don't actually get that much time. And like there's the ruling with like the stale air and the like if you breathe the air too much, it becomes stale
Yeah,
or it
we'll get to that.
becomes and we'll get to that. But and your air envelope, I mean it's all right here pretty much. Like
Yeah, there's like a little graph that tells you how big the air envelope is, but the
yes.
size of it isn't really important. Uh, it's that a creature needs to breathe. That a creature that needs to breathe will exhaust the air in its personal envelope in 1 minute.
It's important in the sense that like if I'm a medium creature and I've jumped off my ship chasing something down and that creature is large, its envelope is bigger than my envelope. So if I get into melee combat with it, my envelope gets enveloped by its and I breathe the air that's in its envelope instead of mine. And if their envelope is stale or bad and I go into their envelope is bigger than mine, therefore my air becomes bad or deadly
Well,
or whatever.
I couldn't find anywhere that talked about stale or poisoned air for personal air envelopes. It just says you have a minute.
Yeah, I guess you're right. But
So I
I
don't
mean, like,
know.
I feel like you can extrapolate the other thing to this, right? You have a minute, and then it becomes stale, and then it becomes deadly very quick.
I guess you could do that.
You could like
But
extend it
it's
just a
weird
little
that it's
bit.
like so specific about all these other things, and then this one's like, you got a minute.
Yeah, that is a little odd. And they also have a thing about fire. Did you read the thing about fire in the air
I
envelopes?
did. I think I did. I'll have to read it again.
Although, I'll read it right now.
Okay.
Fire in wild space, although non-magical fire cannot exist in the
Oh, right.
vacuum of wild space, magical fire such as that created by a fireball spell does burn in a vacuum. Magical fire does not cause objects to burst into flames, however, because there is no air to make ignition possible. So you can't catch stuff on fire in space off the
Yep.
ship. That's it.
Sure.
Yeah,
The end.
great. I'm glad they clarified. Otherwise, people would be burning stuff in space with magic fire. Oh, that would totally happen.
It was an oxygen-rich cloth. What do you want?
It was an oxygen-rich cloth. I pulled that cloth out of a vat of liquid oxygen before I threw it in space.
And now look, it's burning.
I keep my liquid oxygen around so that I can put my headband on. It gives me more air. Air envelopes of ships are huge and they take forever to deplete.
Yeah, 120 days, right?
Yeah, I think so.
So 120 days. Basically you have an air envelope that's real big around your ship. After 120 days of basically just breathing it, it becomes stale, or foul is what it's called.
Yeah.
And
Air
anyone
quality.
who breathes that air is poisoned until you breathe fresh air again.
Yeah.
And then after another 120 days after that, it becomes deadly and unbreathable, and any creature that tries to breathe that begins to suffocate. And then you go into the rules on suffocation. So this is a little weird, but I understand that it's done for simplicity's sake. If you are on a ship, and your air is deadly because you've run out of time or foul, and you run into it has to be a bigger ship.
It has to be a bigger ship. It has to have a bigger air envelope than you.
And it has fresh air, then your air is now fresh air.
Yes. There is no like 50-50 mixing where it all becomes stale.
If you are on a ship with fresh air and you run into a bigger ship that has deadly air,
it kills you.
Your air is now deadly air.
Yeah, it kills you. It instantly kills you. Everyone on the ship suddenly suffocating.
Yeah, so if you're flying through space and you see a bunch of corpses on the deck of a ship, don't get your ship too close to that ship.
Because the air envelope is huge. It is considerably larger than your ship. Now, I will say, I think that like the homebrew alternative to this is what we're talking about. It's like a mix. You come in, they have deadly air, you have fresh air. They're slightly bigger than you, but like if you get the ship away fast enough, you're not going to lose all your fresh air, you know?
Yeah, and I realize that the reason they did it is for simplicity, because you don't want to be spending, well, let's get down to percentages here while you're at the
calculate the volume of my air,
the rate of play going.
Yeah.
So they made it, if you run into a bigger ship, you take their air, whatever.
And if you run into a planet, you automatically get max fresh air.
Yeah. Which is obviously.
Yeah.
It's
that makes sense.
That's why you need to dock.
Gravity planes. You want to move on to gravity planes?
Sure.
I think this is really cool.
I've been trying to figure out ways to make this like super fun.
The gravity planes?
Yeah. So gravity planes, every ship has a gravity plane, which is suppressed if you're on a planet.
Yeah.
And sometimes your gravity plane goes through the middle of your ship, which means that there are potentially decks where your feet are touching the same surface as the people in the deck above you.
Yes. Yeah.
So one of you is upside down.
So like it bisects the ship. It always does. It goes.
Yeah. Some of them though, the gravity plane goes under all the decks, which means you could still walk upside down underneath the hull of the ship.
Mm-hmm.
But some of them do, and some of them don't have decks that are going to be upside down.
So like the example picture they're using in the book, which I'll put in the YouTube version, is a nautiloid ship. So it looks like a big seashell with like a thing out in the front.
Mm-hmm.
That ship doesn't isn't going to have floors beneath the gravity plane, but you could potentially walk on the bottom of the ship as long as you weren't on a planet. Because all the decks are above the gravity plane. But there, I don't remember. I skimmed it earlier today to just get a refresh. That opens up the possibility, like you said, of having a ship that has layers above and below the gravity plane. But you have to be wary of, like, if you do have a ship like that, you have to tie everything down all the time so that when you re-enter gravity,
if you land on a planet, you gotta stuff's gonna
you're
be
not losing all your stuff. Yeah.
And then gravity planes, when ships intersect, the gravity plane of the ship with the most current HP, regardless of size,
Yeah.
is the gravity plane that takes over. So if there were two ships coming at each other, one doesn't have as much like hit points, and the one with more hit points comes in and like tries to almost cripplingly land on top of the other ship.
Yeah.
As
They
long
would
as you have
all
more hit
fall to
points,
the
the people
bottom of
that are
that ship.
on that dock on the
deck.
top deck there are going to fall up towards
Yeah.
the bottom of your ship, which I think is funny.
You could also, like, if they're flying horizontally, you could come down and come into the front of their ship,
Yeah,
and
and just make
everyone
them
would start falling towards your deck, and then you shoot them as they come towards you.
Yeah.
Gravity
That's
planes.
going to make for some interesting stuff.
There's a lot of interesting interactions, I think, that can happen with the gravity plane system as the way they've done it.
Yep.
Like falling and drifting. I mean, you want me to read the falling and drifting thing?
Yeah, you can do it quickly.
Do we want to do tracking time? I feel like that's one of those things where, like, it's interesting but doesn't come up all that often.
What do you mean tracking time?
Tracking time in wild space. This little, like, excerpt of how time in space works.
Oh, yeah, do it.
Yeah, okay. Tracking time in wild space. Local time varies from world to world and from one wild space system to the next, depending on rotational periods, custom, and a host of other factors. Astral travelers often rely on what is considered the standard way of keeping time. A standard day is 24 hours long, convenient. A standard week is 7 days, also convenient. And a standard month is 4 weeks, 28 days. Man, I love that space just goes by Earth time. The typical method for determining the length of a year, the amount of time that passes during a complete cycle of the seasons, has no meaning or usefulness in individuals who spend most of their time on the astral plane. For this reason, astral travelers avoid using years as a measurement of time. So it's just days.
Yeah, I mean, I get we don't have seasons, so that is the main use for like
It's been
farming,
1,000 days.
like that. But it seems weird. Like how old are you? I am 22,000 months old. Wait, what? What does that mean?
Yeah, I think this is one of those things that they added, like, ooh, wouldn't it be cool if there was no years? But it's like, I guess though, like, do you live in the astral sea your whole life? Not that many players are doing that, probably. Oh no, wait, no, there's those space stations and stuff. So
Sure, but it still seems weird.
Seems weird
Because if you're gonna like, yes, all these things are Earth time, and then be like, except years.
Except years. No years in space.
But sure.
Yeah,
whatever.
sure. That's just a little excerpt that I like. I don't know how I feel. Just use years, people. It's fine. No one's gonna say anything.
Yeah, just use years. It's fine.
No one's gonna say I spent 5,000 days at sea. They're gonna say I spent this many years at sea.
Especially when you're like an elf and you can live.
And that's what this is, right?
Like 1,000 years. Like
that's what I'm saying. This is space boating. This is the ocean in space. This is what spelljamming is.
Yeah.
We don't have to talk about drifting or falling. I feel like those are pretty intuitive. Like, it is what we talked about, the gravity planes and stuff like that. You fall towards.
If you get ejected out of your ship, you're like just floating free space.
Yeah.
I think unless you have. Do you have to have a swim speed, or you're just floating no matter what? I don't remember.
Falling, blah blah blah. It's all about gravity and stuff. You can fall and take normal fall damage, hit something solid into the fall. I don't know. It doesn't say actually in the following
I read
whether
it
you can
somewhere,
like.
but I don't remember what it said.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, we'll just gloss over that little point.
Drifting away from the ship along its gravity plane towards the edge of the ship's air envelope. When it exits the air envelope, the sailor or the crate would be left behind as the ship moves away from it. So yeah, I guess you're just
Floating around in
if
space.
you're
Dude.
outside the gravity plane and outside the air envelope, you're done.
Unless you have magical fly speed. I bet you that works.
Yeah.
And then that also implies that you could like swim around your ship. You could swim in the air around your ship.
I don't know how that's gonna work. If your gravity plane is engaged, I'm not even sure how you would get off of it.
Listen, you jump and you could do a little loop. You pass the gravity plane and then suddenly it reverses your gravity, so you go back up. So you can do like a little sine wave.
You can orbit.
Yeah, you can orbit your ship. I'm gonna go for a quick orbit, guys, and you jump off and do a couple laps, and you're like, "Oh man, that was really nice space exercise."
Ship starts taking off. You're like, "Oh no,
no, come back!"
I was in orbit.
You only do that when you're docked.
Yeah.
All right, all right. Moving on, the astral plane. I don't think do we really need to cover this that much. I feel like
I was going to skip it.
Yeah, we'll skip that because it is what it is. Travel between systems, all that stuff. Astral sea navigation. You can fish in space.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, I saw that.
Astral fishing.
Yeah,
we're gonna go astral whaling.
Astral whaling.
It seems lackluster to me.
Nah, dude, I want to be able to catch a tiny inedible fish, a creature that consumes its. If consumed, you are poisoned for 1 hour.
What's the point of fishing then? I'm just. Gonna
you can also catch a hostile space eel that feeds up to 12 people. I'm assuming if you kill it.
Yep. Same thing with a gray scaver.
Yep.
It's kind of nice.
Weightlessness is important.
Okay, yeah. You want to just read
if
the
you're fighting, if you're in any location where gravity isn't present, the following rules apply. Impeded melee. When making a melee attack with a weapon, a creature that doesn't have a flying or swimming speed, either naturally or provided by magic, has disadvantage on attack rolls unless the weapon deals piercing damage. So rogues, you're fine. Movement. A creature can use an action to push off something heavier than itself and move up to its walking, flying, or swimming speed in a straight line. The creature continues along this course, moving in a straight line at its speed each turn on each of its turns until something stops it or changes its trajectory. That is dangerous.
Yeah. I want to add. You should be able to shoot a gun to move you too. Or a crossbow.
Or a crossbow, yeah.
Yeah. Like if you have your gun or your crossbow, you just go poof, and it just like pushes you back a little bit. They did that in Love, Death, and Robots, right? On Netflix. The girl's like floating around in space and she pulls out a pistol and shoots it a few times to move herself around.
Yeah, can I puncture my personal air bubble? Use it as a propulsion system.
Oh yeah, pop it like a balloon.
yeah. Like
blown.
they did in the I don't remember the name of it, the Mars movie with Matt Damon. It was a book before.
Oh yeah.
He
I know what you're
talking
about.
His spacesuit hand to Iron Man his way to the Martian. That's it.
Okay. Yeah, you should be able to do that. That's what I would add to movement in space. Do you have something? Could you throw something? No. In Love, Death, and Robots, she opens her suit and lets her hand freeze, breaks her hand off, and throws it so that it moves her in the opposite direction. Which is way more jacked.
This is for simplicity. Yeah. As long as it's heavier than you, then you can go your regular speed, which doesn't make any sense, but it's for simplicity and to make the game easier.
Yeah. Magic, we don't need to cover that. Magic works.
It
works exactly like it always does. Magic works in space, if you were wondering.
You get 2 new spells. Create Spelljamming Helm, which is a 5th level Artificer or Wizard spell, and Air Bubble, which is a 2nd level spell for Artificers, Druids, Rangers, Sorcerers, and Wizards. The Air Bubble, basically you can, as an action, within 60 feet, you can give them their own little air bubble to keep them from suffocating.
Can it just work underwater?
For how long does it last? Until the spell ends, which is 24 hours. So
works pretty good.
And when you cast it at higher levels, using a 3rd level slot or higher, you can create 2 additional globes of fresh air each slot.
It's like
above
having a
second.
fishbowl of air on your head.
Yeah, but it's a 24-hour bowl.
Yeah,
So-
of fresh, of nice fresh air. None of that stale air.
Not concentration. Important.
Oh yeah, you're right. That's cool.
And if you cast it at 3rd level, then you can hit 3 people with it.
And they
Cast
all
it
just
at
have air
4th
for
level,
24 hours.
You can hit 5 people with it, and they'll just have air for 24 hours.
This is when you and the wizard are like floating around in space. He's like, I can keep us alive for this many spell slots. Then we're dead. Hopefully someone finds us. Create Spelljamming helm. This does exactly what you think it does. It creates a Spelljamming helm. A chair.
But you gotta have a crystal rod worth at least 5,000 gold on you.
5,000 gold. Well, when we get to the ships, we can talk about this. But Spelljamming is going to be the most expensive thing in all of D&D. Are you rich beyond your wildest dreams and don't know what to do? Did you vanquish the big evil on your planet and you're thinking, what do I do with my millions of gold? You go Spelljamming so you can go broke. That's what you do.
Yeah, there's the new items. Fish suit, which is basically what you think it would be.
It's
Takes
a
a minute
spacesuit.
to take on or put off.
Spacesuit that looks like a fish.
And then you have a swimming speed equal to your walking speed while underwater, or flying speed equal to your walking speed in an environment with no gravity. Just a way that you can spacewalk, essentially.
Yep. And then the other magic item is the helm itself.
Spelljamming
helm. Yep. Which you can buy if you don't got anyone to cast. You can go to any market in Spelljamming space and pay someone to make a chair for you.
And hopefully any ship you buy would come included.
It comes with a chair. Chair included.
The chair is ready.
It's just if you want a custom chair. Like, well, I don't like that chair. I want my chair to be one of those Eames chairs. You know,
I need a Herman Miller.
I want a Herman Miller space chair. I want my Logitech RGB space chair.
I need this to be ergonomic. My back has issues.
My back is really hurting because we've had this crap space chair for so long. It's all like beat up, clawed because your cat keeps clawing your stupid space chair. Gonna make a new one, dude.
Like,
the only other
stop summoning this familiar.
The only other magic item is the Wild Space Orrery, which is essentially like a map.
I'm glad they made that uncommon.
Just inside a wild space system, portable arcane device automatically tracks the position and movements of all suns, planets, moons, and comets within that system, projecting a display of these bodies in the space above its current location. So it's a little handheld holographic map of the system you're in.
All right. So here's where we have a decision to make. Do we want to stop now as one episode and do ships all together as one episode, where we cover all these ships, or do we want to keep going and try to cover all the ships now in a hasty manner?
We should save that for another episode because I'd like to dive into the ships.
Okay. There's a lot of ships.
So next time, ships, and maybe we'll touch on a little bit on 1D&D.
Yep, and maybe some homebrew stuff, but we'll see. Thanks for listening. I hope everyone's looking forward to us talking about all these different ships and how their guns work and all that jazz. And all the different...
what I'm the most excited about is the ships.
All the different ships.
Because they are cool, and I'm excited. Like, I'm excited to play and do the combat and stuff like that.
Yeah, I'm stoked. All right. Well, thanks for listening. We'll see you next week with Spelljamming ships, all the different ships, and maybe just some created ships. We'll see. We'll see what happens. Thanks for listening. Bye.
See ya.
Oi. Oi.